Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the F124 Driver Career Mode. We are headed to round 7 of the season, fresh off of a couple of points in one of our home races in the sprint weekend at Miami. We head to a historic circuit, a classic Italian track, the circuit of Imola. Looks to be we're back in the normal race format of the season. So, as usual, 18-minute qualifying session, single session, and just the race, a 32-lap race up and incoming. According to the initial weather projections, looks to be we're going to be seeing some dry running in this one. But let's take a look at the other messages and see where we're at in that regard. So, let's take a look at the weekend previews, weather forecasts, and see do we have any even little spots of rain coming in. Nope, it'll just be a little bit overcast for the course of the rain. Of course, we still have that rivalry with Logan Sargent ongoing. A couple of goals completed already. Achieved qualifying of 13th or better. Should be able to do that. And then 10 laps in a race weekend. Should be able to get that one handled based on our practice runs and just the first couple of laps of the race. Of course, R&D still pretty far down the order, although starting to climb out of the doldrums at the back of the pack. We have had a couple of upgrades hit, so we're kind of at the front of the tail end and getting a few more pieces of power engine components in there. We're going to move to a new turbocharger as that one's starting to wear out. Getting close on the MGU-H, but not quite ready to swap it out just yet. So let's head on over to qualifying.
Welcome to the circuit named for Ferrari. It is qualifying at a special arena for motorsport. Welcome to Imola.
So, starting off the qualifying session, a little bit of sensor faults there. It's only going to hold us up for about 30 seconds, but that is going to put us kind of in the pack a little bit when it comes to the qualifying run. You can see we've got some traffic behind us. We've kind of let a few through as we start up the first qualifying run. So DRS open, across the start-finish line, burning some of that overtake battery down the front straight just to get a good run. And a few cars coming out of the pit lane. We are able to navigate them nicely just before the braking zone of turn 1, so that shouldn't impact our run through the first couple of corners. The Tamburello chicane, a quick little left-right-left combination. And then into the Variante Villeneuve, the second chicane, a tricky chicane around this track then. We have Tosa, the hairpin down at the end. We head up the hill now to the tricky double left-hander of Puritella. Got the 50-meter board, downshift, try and hook a little bit on the inside of the curb. Don't run out too wide. Now you're shooting back down the hill to Acqua Minerale. Carry as much speed as you can down through the first right-hander, then brake hard to get the car slowed down for the second tighter right-hander, and then blast up the hill. The last big chicane, the Variante Alta at the top of the circuit. We've only got 2 real corners left to go in this one. We have one of the kick-salvers getting out of the way of us as Carlos Sainz. That's a 115.4. Find about 70 meters or so to break down into the last couple of corners here. Out of the final corner, we could have used a little more track there, but just getting our first run in, burning our last bit of battery. DRS open, and we do put up a 1:15.822. So when we jump out for our second flying lap of the day, we are sitting provisionally P12, so considerably higher than we have been in the last few races, and still some opportunity to improve. Carry a little bit more of that overtake down the pit straight. This is going to gain us a bit of time on the way into turn 1. Not as clean of a run to start on the way through the Tamburello chicane, so we really just have to hold pretty much steady. Now trying to carry good speed through the second chicane. Still not really finding any additional time. A little bit of a front lockup on the way into Tosa, and that has cost us, so we're just about holding steady with our previous best lap, gaining about a tenth as we use a little bit of our battery on the way up the hill. Piratella. The original pole has gone to Alonso, now Verstappen on the 14.7s. So we need to find a considerable amount of time to be up there. We've been shuffled back now to P16 provisionally, but we are finding a few tenths already on the way. Acqua Minerale was good. The Variante Alta was also pretty decent, so 4 tenths we've found now on this lap, and it's just a few corners left to go. We're going to lose some time because we're not burning battery here when we did on the first lap, and it's all going to be about our last 2 runs through the corner. Good entry into the double left-hander. We found about 6/10. DRS open, battery out. We cross the line, find nearly 6/10 of a second. Where's that going to put us? It's going to be a P8, so our first top 10 start of the season.
Qualifying wrapped up, we now have our grid lineup for the big race tomorrow. Be sure to join us then for what will no doubt be a fantastic race.
So within a half second of pole position, a pretty strong result there. Puts us about 6/10 or so ahead of our teammate who did a 15.8.
Imola, or to give it its full title, the International Autodrome of Enzo and Dino Ferrari. Enzo, one of the most evocative team creators in history. This place is named for their legacy, and it's a beautiful tribute. 3.1 miles of track at Imola, featuring 19 turns, 9 to the right and 10 to the left. Remember that Imola differs from most other Formula One tracks as it's driven anti-clockwise. Let's hope nobody forgets that today. The exit from turn 18 will probably be the setup for many of today's overtakes, leading as it does into the longest straight on the circuit and its only DRS zone. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position, and it's Fernando Alonso alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Perez, Oscar Piastri, Norris, Leclerc, Sainz, Old-Timer, Hamilton, Stroll, Russell, Tsunoda, Gasly, Sargent, Ricciardo, Ocon, Albon, Hulkenberg, Joe, and Valtteri Bottas begins the race from the back of the grid. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race. Welcome to the commentary box. I'm Alex Jakes. Alongside me, a real authority on all things motor racing. It's a warm welcome back to Anthony Davidson. So they've got lots of team members to get to know, to win over, and to get working for them. How do you go about doing that? It's really great to see team and driver working so well together. But there's always improvements that you can get in. Now, those final hours before a race, did you have a routine?
Well, for them, you've got your pre-race rituals that you go through. You see different drivers that, some have got their headphones on, they're listening to the music. Some drivers really absorb the energy from the crowd and they're there waving to them. Other drivers, they go within themselves. They chat to their engineers, absorbing that information, that vital information that you need to carry you through the race. And, those pre-race rituals are essential to making things systematic. We do a lot of Grand Prix in a season, and the more systematic you can be, the easier you are within that environment.
Right, let's see if we can push for another points finish in this race. Good luck.
So here we are on the grid. Looks like it's going to be a pretty straightforward medium-hard strategy. Looks like we have the opportunity just to stick with the planned strategy. Nothing really to be gained by going earlier. We're just going to get the fuel load dialed in exactly as we figured it for the test run. So here we are on the grid. P8, our best starting position of the season with the 5 red lights up and out. A decent reaction, bogged down in second gear, but it looks like Carlos Sainz on the left has gotten a bit of a slow start. We've got a run, grabbing some of the slipstream as Leclerc and Piastri, we kind of lift and coast, and actually they defend hard to the inside. So we're going to go ahead and slide past Leclerc. It's going to allow us the inside. He's going to try and get the inside on the third part of the opening chicane, but we are going to move our way right past him. And now we have a couple cars with the hard tires on, but we are very much punching way above our weight class. Already some rear locking into Tosa for the first time. The heavy fuel load kind of throwing the rear of the car around just a little bit as we still try and get the tires up to temperature. Leclerc having a little look into Piratella, but not going to get anywhere near close enough to pull alongside. So it's going to be very important for us to use these medium tires to the best of our ability as we already go wide through Acqua Minerale. The pressure is starting to get to us initially, and once again, Leclerc trying to find a way through. We seem to be, at this stage on the tire offset, decently quick enough to hold with this lead group now as the race goes on, and especially at the tail end of the race as those two McLarens go on to the medium tire when we're all going to be on the hard tire. Could put us very much into some jeopardy later on, but Perez actually leading this one, fastest first lap. And we've actually set the fastest third sector of anyone on the first lap of the race. So a decent way to start the race. And then down into turn 1, no pressure being felt just yet. A little clat over the curbs. not going to be ideal. It's actually going to cost us a bit of time to Piastri and Norris, and we're going to have to continue to try and push quite hard to hang with this group. But of course, we usually get a little backup into Tosa as we grab our first track limits warning of the day, running just a little wide through Variante Villeneuve there, which is always a tricky spot to keep the car on track. There's actually a few spots around the track that can be track limits trouble. Piratella here, once you start getting on lighter fuel and pushing the car a lot harder through there, so easy to run out wide. And of course, getting the braking wrong here in Aqua Minerale causes you to just run a little bit wide as you start to head up the hill. So it's definitely something we're going to have to pay attention to. And again, rear locking, so we're going to have to start playing with the brake bias a little bit more in this one to try and sort out and make sure we keep that rear end under control. So far, it's been a bit of a problem keeping that rear end stuck to the track under braking. There's a local yellow behind us. It looks like somebody has been off at the back. It looks like one of the Mercedes has actually dropped back there, according to the track map. But with DRS enabled, we're in a nice big slipstream train here, burning some battery. Leclerc getting a bit of a run on us down towards turn 1, but nowhere for him to go just yet, as we also have the DRS help from the cars ahead. A couple Red Bulls leading it. Fernando Alonso in the mix in that Aston Martin, and then we're following the two McLarens on the hard tires, who are making an interesting impression at the start of this race. We'll have to see how it develops as this race goes on, but we're on to lap 3 of this race, and you can see occasionally little gaps open up between ourselves and the McLarens, but we tend to, in the braking zones and a higher downforce section of the track, make up a little bit more of that time. So it's just a matter of, considering we finished 8th in the Miami race, we had some help with a couple of cars going wide, of course, and just having a good strategy overall. I wouldn't be shocked if we start to fall back through the field, as surely, the two Ferraris much higher on the performance chart than we are, as is the Aston Martin, and there's a Mercedes of George Russell, I think, is following up. Then you have the Cash Apps, who are just hanging up onto the tail end, and we've kind of gotten ourselves developmentally a little bit ahead of the rest of that group. A pass for the lead, looks like. A challenge between the Red Bulls going down into turn 1. Looks like may have been Verstappen who got that job done. So Verstappen out in the lead of the race. Alonso still running P3, and McLaren still in their position as we still continue to deal with those Ferraris. A few laps into this one, and you see big rear lock that time into Tosa. Had to really catch the squirminess of that car. And we're having to burn quite a bit of battery coming up the hill to make sure we don't fall too far back of the McLarens, and also don't fall back into the clutches of Leclerc, who is looking to pounce his way past us at any second and any opportunity that he can get. But through Aqua Minerale on the way up to the Variante Alta, we are able to close right back up to the McLarens in front of us, and so we've kind of remedied that mistake at the start of the lap. We won't fall outside the DRS range of the other cars. And a lockup as one of the Red Bulls, Verstappen, off the track straight on. And that is going to be him looking to rejoin at the tail end of this. No, he's still stopped there according to the mini-map. So he is going to rejoin this race dead last. And now Leclerc has a really good run on us, headed down to Tamburello. He's going to try and get up the inside. We're going to brake late, close the doors. He's not able to get alongside enough for him to really have claim to the inside track there. So we do have to lose a bit of time defending from him, and now we are trying to claw back that gap to Piastri and Norris just ahead of us. That slides us up into P5 in this one, but very much under pressure as Leclerc putting the hammer down behind us and putting some serious heat on our gearbox to try and get past us. So we're having to look two ways essentially at this point and try and just manage that gap. And oh no! An engine failure, an MGUH complete failure on our car. We have to just pull off to the side of the road. A full mechanical retirement. Our best qualifying of the season, running up in P5. And that is going to be our race done. Our DNF. And unfortunately, one power unit piece down could also certainly result in some engine penalties later on. But we get back to the pit lane, have to make our very embarrassing trudge through the garage. Not our fault, though. Engine just decided to go kaput on that one.
They take the checkered flag then here in Imola, in what has been another outstanding Grand Prix.
To do it as a team on home soil, that really means something special. And you can see how much it means to them, the drivers involved as well. Great job by them today, of course, as always. But for the fans watching on too, a great display of teamwork here today.
Ferrari are at it again. An excellent performance at today's Grand Prix, and they're certainly a team that know what they're doing out there.
So, Charles Leclerc taking the top step of the podium. A nice podium for Fernando Alonso. Sergio Perez P3, of course, that off by Verstappen. Crucial mistake on his part. It looks like the Red Bulls, especially after Miami, blitzing the field out in the lead, were the strong cars, but a new opportunity for somebody to take the top step of the podium, and it's going to be a Ferrari home race victory.
And with that, we wrap up another weekend of motorsport. But with more races lined up, be sure to join us when we come back with more Formula One.
Carlos Sainz finished fourth, Russell up in fifth. Verstappen managed to rally back to P10 after his off, so a decent result for him there. But Nico Hülkenberg, last man running, as there was another DNF at the tail end, including us. So it does keep us just ahead of Kick Sauber in the Constructors' Championship, but definitely need to start scoring some points because I think the back of the field is going to get very toasty soon. So we're back at home base, and we have Monaco next up on the radar. But we have plenty to go over first. So let's take a look at our available specialists. Get some of those dialed in. It's going to always impossible to keep tires below temperatures, especially on a twisty track like Monaco. Tricky ones. Average corner speed of 84 at the slowest track of the season, or reach 170 for 30 seconds, I think. 170 is a tall ask for Monaco. We can get to a top speed of 174, but I don't think we'll have much time. It'll be pretty much right there. And then perform 250 gear shifts during a single session, possible, but would likely require gambling on finishing the race, which, considering the recent retirement, wasn't feeling particularly confident in choosing that option. So that should be specialists sorted out and done for the next race weekend. Of course, we're going to take a little bit of a hit to our overall rating thanks to the DNF, and actually developmentally we've taken a step back as well, as a few other teams look to have jumped us in the development race. We've only got 400 points available to us, so I don't believe we've really got much we can afford. We can get that gearbox durability rescheduled, but nothing new on the development front going to be arriving before the Monaco Grand Prix. So we'll advance to race weekend, and we'll get ready to head off to the crown jewel of the Formula One season. And most of the F1 driver career, AI not super strong around the street track, usually a little tentative. So it is often an early opportunity to bang in a very good qualifying lap and then just defend for my life for some solid points. So hopefully we see that come to fruition in Monaco. But thank you all for joining me once again. I will catch you all next time. Peace.